Your music, your station, WGHC 98.3.
All right, thank you all for tuning in to WJHC 98.3 FM, your voice of music, your station. My name is Jeff Badu, and I'm a serial entrepreneur and a wealth multiplier and CEO and founder of Badu Enterprises, which is primarily a finance. Basically, we're in the financial industry or financial conglomerate, and we operate in multiple countries. We provide different financial services such as tax preparation, credit repair, and things of that nature. So with that being said, today we'll be talking about a special program or a special mission or cause known as Strive for 25. And we have a special guest on the show, which will do a full introduction. But can we get a really quick mic check, Joel? Yes, sir. I can definitely hear you. Man, thank you for joining the show. We'll get through your portion in a second, but definitely appreciate you for joining today. So the first thing we'll go through is a market report, as we usually do. This report is as of May 17, 2019. So investors were heading for the hills early last week as stocks suffered their worst day on Monday following China's announcement that it would impose an additional $60 billion in retaliatory tariffs on U.S. imports. Stocks for several companies with direct ties to China were hit particularly hard. The markets rebounded, but not enough to overcome the poor start early in the week. Helping to ease investors' concerns over trade tensions, the Trump administration indicated that it would delay a decision on whether to impose tariffs on auto and parts imports. Then last Friday afternoon, the administration announced that it had reached an agreement with Canada and Mexico that would end U.S. tariffs on steel and aluminum imports. Nevertheless, each of the benchmark indexes lost essentially on value by last week's end, led by the Russell 2000 and the NASDAQ. Year to date, the NASDAQ continues to lead the pack, ahead of its 2018 closing value by almost 18%. Oil prices closed higher, $61.73 per barrel, up to $62.71. Price of COMEX gold went down, $12.8650 to $12.7740. So far this year, the Dow Jones is up 10.44%. NASDAQ is up 17.8%. S&P 500 up 14.07%. Russell 2000 is up 13.88%. Global Dow is up 8.80%. Federal funds rate has not changed this year. We're still at 2.25 to 2.5% on a benchmark interest rate or the federal funds target rate. With that being said, I would definitely like to give an introduction to our speaker for today, and who really centered around the purpose or the drive, Strive for 25, which we'll get into. And I'll let him introduce Strive for 25, but I will be doing the introduction for him. So Mr. Joel Farrell is a 12-year veteran in the mortgage industry. He specializes in working with military clientele across the country, as well as several builders in the MD, Meriden, Virginia, and North Carolina areas. Joel's successes can be attributed to a relentless work ethic and an uncanny desire to do whatever it takes to get the job done. Joel believes accessibility and transparency are the leading qualities for delivering great customer service and is fundamental for developing return business. We are blessed enough to have the opportunity to work with individuals and families all across the country achieve home ownership. As a group, we believe in building lifetime relationships with our clients and partners. And with this, we believe in connecting and bringing people together to celebrate and have fun. We are known in the DC market for having client events all across Maryland, and are becoming known within the food truck community in DC. Not only do we follow through and execute throughout the process of purchasing a home, we also bring a level of excitement and fun thereafter by staying connected. So I'll leave it there. But thank you for joining the show, Joel. It's definitely an honor and a pleasure to have you on today, to be able to speak on something so important. Strive for missions like Strive for 25 or causes like Strive for 25, I fully support. So thanks for being on the show, Joe. How's everything going?
Talking about saving.
Absolutely. Mm. Yeah, I mean, I would say I definitely do believe in the Strive for 25 mission. It definitely is it's a pretty, yeah, it's a tough goal. It's really one of those heavy hitting type goals, but at the end of the day, I do think that it's attainable for sure. So yeah, I think that the fact that you have this mission is awesome. Now, as far as that 12-week challenge, can you just go into a little bit more detail as far as what that consists of?
Why is it important to save? And so the most important piece of the puzzle is understanding the force of compound interest. By saving today, it allows that money to compound over time. And you're talking about saving today and then multiplying over a period of time. So that's one of the things we talk about. Hey, is this program, is saving even important for you? And if it is, great, then we can kind of take the next couple of steps. If it's not, no big deal. Maybe today is not the right time. So if it is the right fit for you and you feel like you want to try to take the next step towards savings, or you don't know anything about savings, you want to learn more about it, or maybe you're already saving, then maybe this is the way to be able to take it to the next level and achieve those next goals. So, like I said earlier, it's a series of phone calls, Skype meetings. Some are done locally where we can actually do it in person. And that's kind of the first step, and some of them have been just phone calls as well, getting the system set up. And so from that point, once someone gets enrolled and we are actually on target to go through the 12-week challenge, then basically it's a series of checkpoints where they go through a series of steps at first, and then you've got 2-week intervals where we check back in with either phone calls or Skype calls or meetings. And we're checking in on progress, talking about the different next steps. And like I said, there's homework involved. So this is not a passive type of thing. Sometimes savings can be thought of as a passive type of process where, you make money, you have expenses, and whatever is left over is what I'm going to save. Like I said, we're going to flip that script, and we're going to be very active and proactive and intentional with a lot of the things that we do. We're going to provide tasks, and we're going to give homework, and we're going to follow back up on that, because if we're talking about trying to save 25% of one's income, that's a pretty lofty goal. And obviously, you can't hit that goal overnight. It's a process. And we set up a series of increments where that first month, the goal is to put 5% away. And one of the processes that we talk a lot about is trying to put that savings on autopilot where you don't have to think about it. So maybe it's setting up an automatic deposit from checking into savings each month or even every payroll. And so by doing that, it takes the thought out of the process, and it's just automatic. And then you force yourself to live out to what's left. So that's one of the things we talk about as well. So that's, again, a little bit of a quick overview of the 12-week challenge.
Got it. Okay. So, so overall, okay. So can you just, I guess this mission here, can you just cover, like, what made you actually go ahead and start this? Like, what was the inspiring factor to create this Strive for 25? Like, what is it that, that got into? What exactly kicked it off?
Yeah, I think it's really a combination of experience and then circumstances and timing. I wouldn't be talking to you, Jeff, about this 5 years ago or 10 years ago. And so over experiences and life challenges and failures and successes and overcoming things and, working in the mortgage industry and then throughout my journey, which is pretty unique, I'll save you the details, but we've done a lot of stuff along the way. We've seen so many different situations. And in my journey, I think I started counting. I've probably seen over 10,000 credit reports in my career, over 13 years. 10,000 credit reports. Mm. And, when we break down the process of helping somebody buy a house, we try to break it down into its simplest components. And one of the components is verifying income. The second component is looking at credit scores. And then the third component is having money for down payment and closing costs. So those are the three basic things as a lender that we look at in getting somebody pre-approved. And so of those three things, in my experience, if someone's got credit challenges, we can put a plan together and work on getting some things taken care of and paying some debts off and paying off collections or whatever the case may be, or maybe it just takes time. Income, obviously that is what it is. Sometimes it's a matter of time where maybe you get a pay raise or get into a different industry. That is what it is. But I would say that the single most limiting factor of individuals being prevented from buying a house ends up being having enough money saved for down payment and closing costs. And so with that in mind and just seeing that over and over and over, with our experience and everything that my partner Mike Soleil and I have seen along the way, I felt like through our knowledge and experience of running a business, Mike and I run a branch. We're leading employees and training and empowering our employees, and then with the process of helping people, through the home buying process, I felt like we had a lot to offer to those out there. And, Mike and I came to the point where we were probably having a couple cocktails, after hours on a weekend, and we were like longtime friends. And we asked the question to ourselves, well, what would we have told ourselves 10, 12 years ago when we were just starting out? And that question really is kind of where this started, because, well, what would we have told ourselves? Well, first off, we probably wouldn't have listened. If someone was telling us about this, we probably wouldn't have listened. And that's part of human nature as it is. But, when we were getting started in our careers in probably 06 and 07, we were in sales and we were making decent money and doing okay. And we were single, probably spending a lot of money and going out and working a lot of hours. And if somebody would have told me, hey, you know what, go have fun, go do what you want to do, go spend money, but before you do that, let's put a plan together. Let's just carve out a little bit of time and say, you know what, let's put $100 or $200 away every month and put it on autopilot. And let time be your best friend. Let time take those dollars and turn them into compounding. Let the compounding force take control. And so if we'd have done that years ago, and if I would have had somebody telling me that, 10, 12 years ago, I probably would have been able to do more things at a quicker pace. And so that's kind of the spirit of where this came from. And we just seen a lot in our journey. And why not try to provide an outlet for those that do want to maybe take their financial success to the next level. So that's kind of where this came from.
Got it. Okay. So, in your opinion, what would you say? So, according to many financial experts, they say that you should have at least 3 to 6 months worth of expenses saved in the bank at all times. Would you agree with that? And if not, why? What do you think is a good standard other than a whole 25% of income? How much money should you actually have in the bank at all times?
Yeah, I definitely think that 6 months of emergency funds or 6 months reserves is really a good first target to get to. Once you get there, then that's going to give you the ability to have those funds left over. If your car breaks down, if something happens, life happens, you go to the hospital, you've got that liquid money, the liquid funds available to be able to take care of those emergencies. Because again, having debts like credit cards hanging out there, if you can avoid those for the long haul, that's obviously ideal. We're not saying don't use credit cards, but if you carry a balance for a number of months, that's obviously going to be a large amount of interest you're going to be incurring. So yeah, absolutely, 6 months is a good starting point. But then, depending on where you are in life's journey, everyone may be in different positions. Some may be already saving and maybe want to, put more aggressive goals out there to achieve certain goals. And some may be just getting started. And, first question that we talk about a lot is, well, why is it important to save? And that first force we talk about is compound interest. And, I can go over an example at some point in the talk about how that works. And then the second question we talk about, well, why is it important to save? If we know why it's important because of compound interest and trying to grow your money, well, what are you trying to accomplish? What are your goals and your dreams? And we feel like that's a huge step that may seem easy to do, to write down your goals. Well, it's easy to do. It's also easy not to do, but we feel like that's an important step and something that we talk a lot about that helps us be able to execute the how. Because we're talking about why it's important to save. What are your goals? What are your dreams? What are you looking to accomplish? And then the next part of the puzzle is, well, how are we going to do it? How are we going to go from A to Z, where maybe you're at a point in your life where you're not saving that well, or maybe you don't know anything about it. What are we going to be able to do to change some things in your life that are going to be able to help you, go from A to B to C to Z, where I think we both probably would agree that while inflation is probably low historically, I think with, student loans and cell phones and, Netflix, all these extra things that are part of our lifestyle that we pay for, I think it's harder and harder and harder for younger adults that are entering the workforce to get ahead, to save. They feel like it's just harder and harder. And I think some of the data backs that up. So then the question is, well, how can we make changes? And so that's one of the things that we talk about in depth with some of these processes and talks is, how do we make those changes? And so I think later on the talk we'll probably give some examples of that as well.
Got it. Okay. And then another question I have, so, there are different ways of saving money. You have a savings account. Some people, stash it under a mattress. You have retirement accounts. You have, so what, I guess this 25%, and this could be probably, it does mention to save and invest 25%. So can you just go over some of the different, like, what do you think are the best ways to do that? Like, what are the vehicles that would be best to get into?
Well, before we answer that question, I think it's probably good to give an example because everybody's situation may be different in what they're trying to accomplish. And so, saving for retirement is one thing. Saving to buy a house is maybe a little bit of a different thing. Saving to maybe start a clothing line or build a business, they're going to be different goals and maybe have different processes to get there and ways to look at things. And so one of the things that we talk about is that saving for retirement using, say, 401k, a Roth IRA, or an IRA, we're already assuming that you're doing that, assuming that for the long term. So I don't want to dismiss that because that's extremely important. But with some of the things that we're talking about, hey, we're already assuming that you're doing this. What are the other goals you have? Retirement is probably maybe one of them. What else are you trying to accomplish? And now we're talking about just liquid savings, at least in this breath, liquid savings. And so when I say 25% of one's income, again, that's a goal. Not everyone's going to be able to reach that goal. Not everyone's going to be able to do it. And that's okay, but we got to have, put some targets in place. But I use net income. When we talk about this, we use net income because when we're talking about somebody that may not have a whole lot of experience looking at this, they're going to look at their bank account 4 times and they're going to say, hey, you know what? Every 2 weeks I'm getting $800 or $1,000 or $2,000, whatever that number may be, and we're going to put some targets on that number. So just to use some simple math, and again, we're not talking about a specific example, but let's say someone wanted to save money for a purpose of buying a house or a car, whatever it may be, and we wanted to start out slow. So in the 12-week challenge, the first month we're putting targets of 5%. So let's say that your gross income was $1,250 per month, and then your net income was coming into your account was $1,000. And again, our goal here is just to use the new numbers. So if your net income, the actual money you're getting in your account every month is about $1,000, then 5% would be about $50. So what we're going to do is we're going to put that on autopilot, and we're going to try to set up an automatic deposit from checking into savings, for example, and force ourselves to live off of what's left. So, again, we're not talking about retirement in this front. We're talking about, hey, we're trying to accomplish a certain goal, to reach a certain dream. Retirement, we're already going to assume that. So for this example, let's talk about 401k or Roth IRA or IRA. Let's talk about that first. So a lot of companies, some advisors that we talk to will say, hey, you know what? Invest a certain dollar amount into your 401k or a certain percentage into your 401k up to where your company may give you a match. So in years past, some companies may give a 4 or 6% match. Typically, it may be 3% or 3% up to a certain level. So whatever your company's match is, some advisors will say, hey, you know what? Put about 3% into your 401k, let your company match that, and then just put it on autopilot and let that grow over time. And again, the sooner you start that process, the more the time is on your side to be able to let that compound. And then on top of that, some may want to try to invest additional dollars into, say, an IRA or a Roth IRA, where you're going to have more choices of how to, utilize those funds, whether you're using, a Scotch-Rite account or a brokerage account, where you can take more funds and things like that. So I'm going to stop right there. And, what are your thoughts on those two pieces of the puzzle? We're talking about one being retirement versus, actual liquid savings.
Yeah, I mean, I would say that And yeah, I think this whole 25% should only be stuff outside of retirement. I mean, me personally, I invest through retirement. So I try to stuff as much money as possible, first and foremost through my retirement, because for one, it's protected money. Nobody can touch it. If somebody sues me, if I run somebody over or anything like that, that money is still safe and protected. Two, it has tax advantages. Roth IRA, you don't pay any taxes on the growth. And then also, with a Roth IRA, it's also pretty liquid. I can pull out principal anytime I want. So for me, if I was to do this 25% challenge, I would say that in general, I think that the 25% should be stuff outside of retirement. But if you're saving as aggressive as I am for retirement, it's going to be very, very tough to hit the 25% mark. So I think this 25% is maybe for those conservative savers of retirement. But when you're super aggressive, then I think it might be a little fair to allocate some of that 25%. Let's say, for example, somebody who's self-employed who may not have that recurring 401k contribution. So I mean, in general, I think as long as you're hitting 25% of savings / investing throughout the year, this is my final opinion, whether it's through retirement, whether it's not through retirement, I think you're doing pretty good. You're setting yourself up from 99.99999% of Americans for sure.
And that's the thing. I was just talking through some examples for someone that's in the challenge right now. Her name is Eve, and she's in St. Louis, Missouri. And we were identifying some of the numbers and targets, and she went through her budget. She mapped everything out. And in going through the numbers and projecting it out, we just decided, hey, 25%, that's too aggressive of a number. But we're going to start with 5%. And in that second month, we're going to shoot for 15%. And that's going to be the number we're shooting for. So the 25% is a great goal. We talk about it. It's not the end-all, be-all. It's just an example. It's something to shoot for. And, you're shooting for the stars and you land at the moon. It's all about the effort and going through the process.
Yeah. I mean, sorry, but I would say if you can save 25% plus what you're doing for retirement, which they say 10% is the typical. Yeah, I mean, in my opinion, this is very doable. So I would say if I was to put together this, the 25%, like as long as you have 10% at least in retirement and you're adding this new 25%, as long as you've hit that 10% bucket and you're like, okay, well, let me go a little extra. Let me do this 25% challenge. I think if you can combine the two, like for example, me personally, I save 20% for retirement. So for me to add another 25%, very aggressive. Very doable, but it's very aggressive. But let's say somebody who's on a conservative side, the 10%, then yeah, I think that, you're doing your 401k at work, IRAs, and all that good stuff. But this additional 25%, I think is doable. And I do believe that everybody should shoot for the sky or shoot for the stars. It's tough. It's very tough. We got a lot of bills nowadays. We have loans, student loans, mortgages, obligations. But at the end of the day, it's all about priority. It's all about what you truly value. For me, I value early retirement. I'm on a path to retire very early. So I'm on a very aggressive retirement saving goal right now. So it's like if you're at the 10% and you can add this 25%, then definitely more power to you. I think it's much more doable versus somebody like myself who's 20% retirement and, let's just say maybe make up, instead of doing 25%, maybe I break it into 15%. So I love the strive for 25. I think it's an excellent goal. And I would say that as long as people have an understanding, like once they enroll in this program and become part of the challenge, I definitely do think that some clarification as far as, okay, retirement versus non-retirement would be great. And I'm sure you guys have different ways of going about it. But yeah, I think the purpose, the mission is awesome. I love it. I think everybody should be a part of it. You know, I wish more people would be implementing or initiating things such as this. So, you know, I think it's great that what you guys are doing. And yeah, we should definitely all strive for 25.
Hey, Jeff, can I share with you? I know we're probably running short on time here.
Yeah, we still have about 8 minutes or so, just for like the presentation side. So yeah, we definitely have plenty of time.
Okay, awesome. Because again, when we talk about executing this process, I mean, a lot of the people that we talk to are just getting started. They don't have a whole lot of experience with this, and you know, want to get going and talk about saving and compounding. And we give an example. Let's say that somebody saved $100 every single month for 35 years at a compound rate of say 5% after taxes. If you were to guess, Jeff, $100 a month at 5% over 35 years, what do you think that would come out to be as an output at the end?
I mean, you said $100 per month over a 35-year period, 5% after tax. Man, that's a tough number. If I could guess, I would probably guess around for 35 years. You know, I would say at least $1 million.
Jeff, I gotta move a decimal point on you. Decimal point on you. 114,000. So, $114,000 in 35 years. Does that get you excited?
Yeah, I mean, I would say that's, you know, if you're talking small increments like that, then that's definitely pretty exciting stuff. And I can only imagine the after effect once you add some more numbers to that.
Yes. Because I mean, me personally, $114,000 in 35 years doesn't really get me excited. But you're talking about an input of about $42,000 over that time frame, and then coming out with 114. So you're basically almost tripling your money. So that just shows you the power of compounding. But that power of compounding can actually be applied to another force. And that's kind of what you're getting onto, Jeff, is adding more money. So the way that I like to put it is that power of compounding towards building a habit. And I like to give this example because this is somebody that we worked with along the way. And, you know, they were just getting started out. They're making about $14 an hour, barely scraping by, but for some reason they wanted to get started in saving for whatever reason. Somehow they were able to do it. First month, $100, second month, $100, and so on. For a full 12 months, they saved $100 a month. And, you know, when life happens, you know, you have car breaking down and, you know, things happening, but, you know, you've got real life examples like weddings, baby showers, your friend's 21st birthday party where you're probably going to go get a party bus, or, you know, your friend's 30th birthday party where you're going to be doing the same thing and buying shots for your friends. Things just pop up, and it's hard to save. So, but this person was actually able to tooth and nail scrape away $100 a month. And I talk about this story because it's remarkable what he was able to do, and I'll, you know, maybe share some of the creative ways he was able to do it. But after that 12 months, he had all the confidence in the world to take on any challenge. And so talking about building a habit, after 12 months of doing that day in and day out, I bet you believe that he would be ready to take that savings to the next level. So that next year, he was able to save $400 a month and then to the T make it happen. And so if you take that same example and maybe give a little bit more structure to it, if you save $100 a month at the very beginning, and then each year add $100 onto that savings in increments, and so by the end of it, you're saving $3,500 a month. Now you're talking about $1.4 million. And so now that's something that gets me excited. Mm-hmm. Talking about the power of compounding, which you can apply towards interest, but you can also apply to other things. And so, you know, the goal here is maybe to get you excited about savings, and, you know, maybe give you a little bit of a different way to look at things. And so If you're excited about savings today, that's great. I mean, if you want to reach out to us about the 12-week challenge, that's great. We're here to help. But what happens tomorrow or the next day? Just like a New Year's resolution where you're excited about whatever goal you have in mind. Maybe it's cutting carbs or going to the gym or, cutting out soda or whatever it may be. But a week goes by, 2 weeks goes by, you're probably excited about it still. Maybe that excitement's wearing off. But what about month 1? Probably the majority have dropped off. Month 2, even more have dropped off. So you have this, just life happens, right? We lose excitement, and the urgency about that goal, or maybe you don't see any results. You're going to the gym for 2 weeks and you don't see any results, so you just stop. That's human nature. That's what happens. We all have gone through that same process. We put a goal out there, and we just lose sight of it. We live in a distracted society with social media and work and family and friends and all that. So what if I painted a picture, Jeff, of 2 people going to an inspiring talk, and you have one person who decides that they're going to write down a couple, 2 or 3 goals on what got them excited, and the other person doesn't do that. That first person decides that they're going to build a habit of reviewing their 3 goals every single day for 1 month, for 2 months, for 1 year, and they do it every single day. And the second person doesn't do that. Again, the first person is doing things that are really easy to do, but they're also easy not to do. Who do you think is going to have a greater shot or greater odds of reaching whatever their goals are? The first person who wrote the goals down, or the other person that didn't?
Yeah, you got to write your goals down,
So that's just a little bit of a peek under the hood of some of the things that we talk about. The difference that separates the best, the most successful, the top performers, and the rest is very, very, very little things. But little things that are compounded over a period of time. Things that are easy to do, but they're also easy not to do. The top performers, the most successful people, the ones that are retiring early, Jeff, I do, are the ones that do the ordinary things extraordinarily well. And so when we think about helping kind of show a path of saving and putting some goals out there, not right for everybody, but if it's something that captures your attention, there's a source out there, there's a program out there, there's some people out there that care, that can pass on some expertise and knowledge if you're ready. And if you're not ready, that's okay. Maybe it's just not the right time, or maybe you never will, but that's okay. But yeah, that just gives you a little bit of a peek under the hood of some of the things we talk about.
Absolutely. Well, definitely appreciate it, Joel. Thank you once again for coming on to the show. It's always an honor, a pleasure, a blessing to have somebody with your level of expertise, your insight. I definitely applaud you for this Strive for 25 mission. I think it's something great. It's something that should continue. Perhaps down the road, the Badu Foundation might be able to partner with something like this. But last words, essentially, if you can just share your contact information, how people can get to you, maybe some more things about Strive for 25, just how people can get involved. So this is your time to shine as far as the contact is concerned.
Yeah. So being in the mortgage industry, our cell phones are our lifelines. So that means on weekends, on Fridays, we get phone calls and texts. So if this is something that you'd be interested in getting some more information, my cell phone is going to be the best way to get connected, to get you to the right place. So that number is 314-956-1580. Again, 314-956-1580.
Got it. Any other contact information?
Just going to keep it simple.
Got it. Okay. Well, definitely appreciate that. Thank you once again, Joel, for being on the show. It's definitely an honor to have you. With that being said, we'll officially end the show. Thank you all for tuning in to WJC 98.3 FM, your voice and music, your station. My name is Jeff Badu. One thing to note, next week we will not be having a show because of the fact that it is Memorial Day weekend, and Memorial Day actually falls on next Monday. So we'd like everyone to, celebrate, have fun, do your barbecues, all that good stuff. But thank you all for tuning in. WJT 98.3 FM, your voice of music, your station. My name is Jeff Badu, and I look forward to continuously delivering you all some content. Thank you.
You're listening to WGHC 98.3 FM.